morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to talk to you guys again this week. And before I get into the meat of what I want to chat about, I just want to start with another moment of gratitude, like I did last week. Because most mornings, like especially Wednesday mornings, I walk my kids to school. And so I have some time to think, and I try not to just listen to a podcast or, get straight on work calls, but have a moment of peace, reflection, like almost a meditative walk, right? At least after I drop them off from school. And I was just thinking again this morning how grateful I am to live in such an amazing neighborhood in Southeast Atlanta, and to have friends around so close within walking distance, to be able to walk my kids to school on any given morning, really, that I want to. Now, it was raining this morning, so there was a little bit of touch and go. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to walk, but as soon as I saw it was dry, we went for a walk and it felt so fresh. Finally some of that pollen's washed away. The smoke's gone. Hopefully Georgia's no longer going to be burning. It was just a really nice way to start the morning. So I'm really grateful for our neighborhood, for the people in our community, being able to walk my kids to school. And along my route on the way to work this morning, I was able to stop off at the local coffee shop, grab a coffee for myself and a friend, pop by her house and hang out with her for a little bit, and then come jump on here to talk to you guys about something that I'm really excited to share. So what a great morning. I'm really working on my mornings, and this I think is going to be a whole nother podcast that I was just inspired to do this morning. But I'm really diving into the morning routine and what drives a great day. And the morning is so key for that. Setting off on the right step, right? Is just fundamental to a great productive day. So I've been waking up before my kids. Sometimes you're just so exhausted that you don't set an alarm and you just let your body sleep in, and that's fine, right? But like waking up sometimes at 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. and hearing them, as much as I love them, stresses me out immediately. Like just spikes my cortisol, like immediately. So getting up before them is so helpful to like just taking some time to like breathe and have some moments of calm and stillness and moments of gratitude to like set your day off right. What I have noticed though, even if you do wake up before your kids, that you can fill your cup up and then it can get depleted pretty quickly with the shouting and the chaos of the morning routine and the needs and all of that. So secondly, what I've been working on is then noticing that and refilling my cup up again, like after drop off, so that I'm not starting my day like with a half empty cup. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about, right? So anyways, we'll get into this topic another day because I literally just was inspired this morning about that. But good news is I feel recharged. My battery's ready to go. It's nice and full, and I'm excited to talk to you guys today about something that I know is really hitting close to home for a lot of us, and, including me. So we just got through spring break, a couple weeks ago. And all of the women that I coach and talk to in the gym right now are fighting through that return, right? A couple weeks of being completely off the rails, like the routine out the window, and the beautiful weather lately too, like pulling everybody outside and away from their structure is sort of throwing everyone off as well. So, am I right there? And I'm right there with them, right? I want to be clear about that. I'm not standing here talking to you from some place where I have it all figured out and have a perfect routine and never fall off, right? My sleep's been off, like my routine's been off, my eating has been off, like we've been eating out a lot more than usual. And now we're on the other side of it, trying to figure out how to get everyone back into a normal routine. And it's happening, it's coming, but slowly, and it hasn't been easy. So that in between space where you know what you need to do, you want to get back on track, like you want to feel good, but everything just feels a little scattered still, you're not quite sure where to start. And some of you, like me and my family, had an extended break which was amazing, but it means we have a little bit more ground to cover, right? To get back to like where we were. And that's okay. It's real life. So here's what I always coach my clients on. And we're literally like in this right now together. Like most of my clients and I are actually working through this right now together. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today about this. So, when we go through these moments and we all hit them, no one is immune to them, right? Don't try to fix everything all at once. Pick one thing, just one. And for most of my clients right now, that first thing is getting back to the gym, right? Just show up. Don't worry about the intensity. Don't worry about the plan being perfect. Just get consistent with showing up again. Get that habit locked in first. And then once you're moving again and that momentum is starting to build, then we layer in the next thing. And that next thing, that's what we're talking about today. And that is getting your meal prep back on track. Now, if you were here last week, first of all, thank you for listening. But we talked about how to get rid of that vacation inflammation and how to get your body feeling less puffy and sluggish after a week or two of eating and drinking differently. And if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and check it out because it's a really good starting point before you dive into today's episode. But today we're going to go one step further because once you're moving your body again and the inflammation starts to come down, the next piece of the puzzle is really getting your food locked in and dialed back in. And specifically your meal prep strategy and plan. Because when life gets busy and the routine falls apart, meal prep is usually the first thing to go. And it's also the thing that when you bring it back, makes everything else feel so much more manageable. So that's what today's all about. I'm going to walk you through the exact simple meal prep system I use most weeks. It's not always perfect. And this includes breakfast, lunches, dinners, and even stuff for the kids. And how to do it all within 1 to 2 hours on the weekend, so the whole week feels handled. So, all right, let's get into it. So picture this, right? We've all been there. It's Sunday afternoon. The kids are shouting for you. The laundry's calling your name. And the thought of figuring out dinner for every single night this upcoming week already has you exhausted. And it's not even Monday yet. What if I told you that in just 1 to 2 hours this weekend, you could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner completely handled for the entire week? No fancy meal prep required, no 47 ingredient recipes, just simple, real food that your family will actually eat, including the picky ones. That's exactly what we're doing today. So I'm going to walk you through my exact weekend meal prep routine step by step. It might not be super pretty or fancy for all those foodies out there, but by the end of this video, you'll have a game plan that you can take straight to your kitchen this weekend. So let's get to it. So this is definitely aimed at the parents who are doing a lot. The ones juggling work schedules, school pickups, sports practices, and somehow still trying to get a home-cooked meal on the table. This is not a wellness influencer with 3 hours and a spotless kitchen with all the beautiful gadgets kind of video. These meals are far from fine dining recipes. Trust me, my husband will tell you. But I will nourish your body with good fuel that will get you ripped, get you to lose some weight, get you to feel good, get you to sleep better, right? And that's what food is. And then you make the variations, right? You throw in whatever makes you happy, sprinkle in some extra cheese or some of your favorite dressing on top, okay? But this is real life. And real life means we need a system that's fast, flexible, and actually works when things get chaotic midweek, which they always do. So here's the deal with my approach. 1 to 2 hours on the weekend, that's it. 3 meals covered, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Kids get their own prepped options. So you're not making 2 meals every night. That's one of the first things I try to get moms and busy dads to work on is their evening routine and get everyone to eat the same thing or have some other stuff already prepped for the kids. But don't do 2 separate sit-down meals. That's just way too much. We want stuff that can be ready to go, right? And easily heat up and prep it out throughout the week. So I'm going to share even the exact kind of containers, food prep containers and tools that I use, because the right setup really does make a difference, So I'll link everything in the description once this podcast is finished. All right, guys. So let's start at the very beginning of the day. Okay. So breakfast. This is the meal that derails most busy mornings, right? And busy parents, because nobody has time to cook a full breakfast in the morning. So the goal here is breakfast is done before the week even starts. So you can open the fridge, grab a jar, and you eat it. That's it. So my go-to is overnight oat yogurt bowls, and I make them in individual jars over the weekend. So every single morning is handled. When I do this, my day goes smoothly. I swear. The jars I use are these cute little colored mason jars that I like to eat out of. I'll link them below. They're perfect because you can eat straight out of the jar. They seal nice and tight so they stay fresh all week. And if you need to grab and go, there's a spoon attached too, a little color-coded spoon. It's a game changer, honestly. And here's how I build the overnight oats. So get your notes app open on your phone, or if you're old school like me, open your notebook and grab a pen. So we're going to start with a base layer of rolled oats, not instant rolled oats. Those hold up much better overnight. And I personally do about 1/3 cup to 1/2 cup per jar, depending on what my carb intake is for the day, if you're following a macronutrient profile. More carbs on big training days, and then less when I'm just kind of in maintenance or in a cut. And if none of that makes sense to you, email Lauren at ox.fit and I would love to teach you. So that is like 1/2 cup of oats if I'm in a big training day, or a little bit less if I'm in maintenance or trying to lose weight. Then I'll add a big spoonful of Greek yogurt right on top of the oats. And this is the secret ingredient. It makes these so much creamier and it adds extra protein, which means everyone's going to stay full until lunch. And then here's another thing I add that I really love. So I'll add 1/2 scoop of protein powder to boost my protein for the day. I usually struggle to hit my protein target through just food. So adding a little bit of protein powder helps me hit my goal. And I use an organic grass-fed whey protein that's free of heavy metals. So I feel really good about adding it into my food, and especially first thing in the morning. So it'll blend right into the oats overnight. You don't even taste it as a separate thing. It just makes the whole jar that much more filling and nutritious when it mixes right in with the yogurt. I also pour a little bit of milk on the top. Dairy, non-dairy, like whatever your family uses is fine. And that just gets everything nice and hydrated. Usually about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of milk, depending on how thick you like it. Then here's where you can make it your own. I throw in some chia seeds or flax seeds for extra nutrition. I also put a little drizzle of honey or maple syrup, a pinch of cinnamon, stir it all together right there in the jar. Just kind of shake it up a little bit and then let it sit in overnight. Seal it, put it in the fridge, stays fresh for up to like 5 days easily. And then the fun part is adding the toppings on in the next morning. So I'll keep these separate in like little fresh containers in the fridge, and you can add your own. So if you and your partner like different fruit or whatever, then just have them prepped. So we're talking berries, sliced banana, granola for a little texture, some nut butter. And one of the things I do during my prep is I like to wash and slice a big batch of strawberries up front, because I'm a big strawberry lover. My kids inhale strawberries. So I put those on my overnight oats all week, and so does my husband. And my kids always have them as a side. So they usually double up with the kids' breakfasts as well. So, which I'll get to in a second. And I usually make about 5 overnight jars at a time. So I get, one per weekday done in literally 10 minutes, guys. Overnight oats is the easiest thing, right? While you're doing the rest of your prep, this is something you can do, and they're just chilling in the fridge. So breakfast handled, at least for you and your partner, 10 minutes. Now let's talk about the kids, because their morning situation looks a little different, but honestly, it can be just as easy. I don't stress about making them the same breakfast that I'm having every day. I like to have some easy grab and go options. So instead, I keep a couple of really simple things. Like first, a better cereal option. So I keep Magic Spoon on hand in the pantry. And this is one of those cereals that actually has some decent protein and way less sugar than than stuff most kids eat and are begging for, like Captain Crunch or Cocoa Puffs or whatever. Magic Spoon, guys, check it out. It has way less sugar than the stuff we grew up on. And they still think it's like a treat. So it's a win-win for everybody. But then on the mornings where they want maybe something a little bit more substantial, I do keep Kodiak flapjacks and waffles in my freezer. And then Applegate chicken sausage is always in my freezer. And both of these go straight in the microwave. We're talking 2 to 3 minutes, and breakfast is done. Super easy. And then I'll just throw a big handful of those pre-washed, pre-sliced strawberries on the side. And, done. It's literally the easiest breakfast. So that's the kind of efficiency I'm always looking for. So between the cereal, the freezer options, the fresh strawberries already waiting in the fridge, the kids have a solid breakfast every morning without me having to really do anything extra. No cooking, no thinking, no stress. So there you go. Breakfast for the whole family, handled just like that. All right, lunches. So this is where I think a lot of people either skip meal prep entirely and just try to figure it out on the go day by day, or they overcomplicate it. And I keep it dead simple. 1 protein, 1 potato or rice base, and a vegetable. My weekly lunch lineup is something like this. This is one example. Grilled chicken, roasted potatoes, roasted broccoli. And then I will swap out the protein and veggie base from time to time for those of you that think that's boring. And sometimes it looks like ground turkey and rice instead, right? So I do mix it up like every few weeks. But here is why this kind of combo is perfect for meal prep. It reheats incredibly well. It's filling and balanced. You've got your protein, your complex carbs, your greens, and it works as a bowl, a wrap, a salad topper. So it doesn't feel repetitive, even if you're eating it like Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday. All right, let's talk execution. So for the chicken, I season it simply, like olive oil, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, pepper. Sometimes you can swap all that out for like a little bit of your favorite Italian seasoning, or if you're a big like chicken wing style fan like I am, being from Buffalo, I love to do lemon pepper seasoning on chicken breasts or chicken thighs, nothing complicated. But I either cook it on the outdoor grill or air fry it, like super easy, right? About 6 to 8 minutes per side, depending on thickness. And the key is here to cook a big batch, like 6 to 8 chicken breasts, like all at once for the whole week. And if that's too much for your lunches, then you have some extra for dinners as well, okay? And then once they're done, cool them slightly, slice them all up, and just move them into containers. Then for the potatoes, this is totally flexible. Use whatever you have or what your family likes. So I rotate between sweet potatoes, white potatoes, and Japanese potatoes, typically, depending on the week. Japanese potatoes actually are really underrated. They're naturally creamy and really, really amazing for meal prep. If you guys haven't checked those out, please do. I usually get them from the farmer's market. They're delicious. And then as for peeling, totally up to you. I usually leave the skin on just to save myself some time. And it's nutritious as well. But if your family prefers them peeled, then go for it. No rules here. However, you prep them, just cube them up, toss them in olive oil, salt, pepper, whatever seasoning you like. Little cinnamon, little paprika works great. And then spread them on a sheet pan, pop them into a 400-degree oven, 25 to 30 minutes. Pretty easy. Then for the broccoli, same kind of sheet pan situation, like cut them into florets, toss with olive oil, salt, garlic powder, add the broccoli to the oven in the last like 15 to 20 minutes. So it gets nicely roasted, but not overdone. And then here's a time-saving move. So while the chicken's in, the stove or in the air fryer or wherever, the veggies are in the oven, you're running both at the same time. This is not a one thing at a time process. You're working in parallel, which is how you get this done in under 2 hours. And then once everything's cooked and cooled, important, don't put it right into containers, obviously, right? Portion out the week's lunches. If I'm counting my macronutrients, I'll weigh out my portions of chicken, potatoes, broccoli, put my meal container lid on, and then straight into the fridge. Now, here's something I love to do to mix it up midweek and keep the lunches feeling fresh, right? Make all of that on your Sunday, but then midweek, if you start to get a little bored, like throw in some extra veggies, like right into the bowl. When I'm about to eat them, I'll just have like sliced cucumbers, cherry tomatoes ready, avocados, takes 30 seconds to just like throw them in the bowl. And then it completely changes the texture and feel of the meal too. So then, you can also drizzle a little Bolthouse Farms dressing over everything. They have a lot of Greek yogurt based ones that have good macros. My favorite's their Greek Goddess one. So throw that on, tastes amazing. And it really ties the whole bowl together too. It's lighter than a lot of dressings, little moves like that are what keep meal prep from feeling boring. Okay, now real talk for a second. So I know that may have felt overwhelming to some of you, and if it did, then here's another option. So if your budget has any flexibility at all, I want you to consider possibly trying a meal prep company for your lunches, at least a few days a week. And from season to season, I get help with my lunch meal prep, and it's amazing. It really, really helps. And I know that can sound counterintuitive in a video about doing it yourself, but hear me out. So your time has value. As a busy parent or working professional, you are already stretched thin, right? And sometimes the smartest thing you can do is buy back some of that time, okay? So a good meal prep service means your lunches are portioned, prepped, and ready. Zero effort on your end. And here's the thing. The right company will list every single ingredient and give you a full macro breakdown right on the label. So you have the information like how many protein, carbs, fats, calories you're taking in with that lunch, all of it. And that's actually a huge advantage if you're trying to hit specific health goals, because then the guesswork's completely taken out of it and you don't have to measure and weigh your food as well. So when you're shopping around for a service, that macro transparency is non-negotiable, in my opinion. If they're not telling you exactly what's in the food and what the numbers look like, then just keep looking. There's plenty of great options out there that are fully transparent and built around clean, whole ingredients. Now, I know the first thing people think is well, that's expensive, right? And it is. Yes, it's an added cost. But here's the reframe I want you to sit with. What if you cut out one DoorDash order on the weekend? Just one. Like that's typically around like $50 for a family right there. That could go directly towards covering a few prepped meals for the week. So you're not necessarily spending more money overall. You're just redirecting it towards something that actually is serving your health and fitness goals and saving you time during the week. That trade-off is almost always worth it. So done, right? Lunches for the week. However you choose to handle them, whether it's that batch meal prep that you're doing in under 1 to 2 hours or a meal prep service, right? Figure out how to get your lunches ready and done for the week. Okay, let's move on to dinners. So this is the one that feels the most overwhelming midweek, especially, at least personally, right? You get home tired, kids are hungry, they're tired already, maybe from a few days of school and extracurriculars. And the last thing you want to do is think about what to cook. So this is where having prepped components, at least, is absolutely the most valuable thing about my meal prep strategy. So my dinner is built around usually 3 things: prepped proteins, cooked rice or quinoa, and then I usually do fajita veggies. And then mix and match those throughout the week. And dinner feels different every night, even though the prep happened once. So here's what I'll do. Ground beef. I brown a big batch, like usually close to like 3-4 pounds of this in a large skillet with olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic, cumin. I try to season it fairly simple so it's versatile and I can use it in different ways, like tacos or over rice for like burrito style bowls, even in a quick pasta, whatever the week calls for. It's nice having it already pre-cooked. And then once it's cooked and cooled, it goes right into a large container in the fridge. I'll also secondly do a little extra grilled chicken for dinners. And now you can do this like right when you're doing your chicken for lunches, but you can also do it in a second batch and season it a little differently. So grill a second batch, same process, maybe like I said, slightly different seasoning. Like I'll do like maybe a taco style seasoning, for dinner with cumin, chili powder, lime, like slice it up, store it separately, and have two different preparations, two different chicken preparations. And it really does genuinely feel like, different meals, even though you prep them at the same time, because they're cooked differently. They're maybe sliced differently, right? And they're going to be used differently to mix things up during the week. Thirdly, rice. So the base. So I'll cook a big pot of white or brown rice on the stovetop or in a rice cooker, whatever you have. And this takes almost like no effort, right? Put the water on, boil it, throw the rice in, walk away, come back, it's done, right? Instant rice. And I'll usually make like 6 cups dry, which yields like a huge amount of rice for the week. And then fourthly, fajita veggies. This is one of my favorite things to prep because it's so versatile and it makes everything taste like you really like actually freshly cooked a meal. So slice up a bunch of bell peppers, use a mix of red, yellow, green for color, plus a couple onions, saute them in olive oil, salt, cumin, chili powder, until they're nice and soft, slightly caramelized, about 10 to 12 minutes, right? Let them cool, store them in a container, put them in the fridge, ready to go for whatever you need them for. Then this is where the magic happens, right? So on a Tuesday night, when you have 20 minutes, pull out the fajita veggies, the chicken, the rice, warm everything up, add some salsa, cheese, sour cream, whatever you've got, throw it in a bowl or in a tortilla shell, right? Have some staples ready. And you've got chicken fajita bowls in 15 minutes. Like no stress, no what are we eating tonight? Where are we going to eat tonight? Like none of that panic, right? You have components prepped and ready in the fridge so you can put together something in under 15 minutes. Then what happens is Wednesday hits, right? And we have all that ground beef prepped. So we can throw some over some rice this time with some cheese, salsa. Then Thursday comes, let's make some chicken tacos, right? Pull out those fajita veggies again, or just throw some cheese and salsa on. The combinations really write themselves. And this is the key insight I want you to take away. So you're not meal prepping complete meals. You're prepping components, and it keeps things flexible, right? Especially when you're on the go, have busy night, coming in late after soccer practice, whatever it is. It prevents that not this again feeling, right? And it honestly makes those weeknight sessions of trying to figure out what to cook, right, feel creative instead of like a chore, because you have lots of different components that you can work with. And then for the kids, because here's the real honest truth of parenting and meal prep. Sometimes you nail this beautiful grilled chicken fajita bowl and your child looks at you and goes, what is that? I don't like this, right? Whereas last week they ate it, loved it. It was the best thing ever. So we plan for that, right? I always do a kid-specific prep batch alongside everything else. And here's my secret weapon: a batch of hot dogs. Just have them ready. I know it doesn't take a lot of time, right? But hot dogs are great. Like on a night where you're just like, the kids are in a mood, I have no energy left, like, even the thought of grilling or boiling hot dogs can seem overwhelming. So have them prepped and ready, so that on those nights you can just throw them back on the grill for a minute, throw them in the microwave, heat them up, and you've got a meal ready, right? You've got a fast option that the kids will probably eat, most likely, and that takes 30 seconds to reheat. So here's how I do it, right? I mean, easy. I boil a full pack of hot dogs ahead of time on Sunday, let them cool, store them in a container with a little water, and just pop them in the fridge. And that way, during the week, they're ready to go, 30 seconds or less. Toss them in a pan, microwave them, air fry some frozen French fries too. Super easy meal, okay? So you can also throw on the side, like my kids always eat chicken or chicken nuggets too, right? So I'll also, when I'm batch making the chicken, just make some plain grilled chicken pieces without all of the seasoning. So, I can throw those in a meal. I'll also make plain roasted potatoes without all the seasoning and put those in a separate container because, most kids like that stuff and they want it plain. Like same thing with rice. They just want it plain. Throw some butter in. Okay. So like always just keep a small little container of everything you're making ready to go. And then you can add on some butter, some ketchup, whatever on the side. The key word is plain for kids, right? Kids generally want familiar, unseasoned versions of things. So when you're prepping for yourself, just set aside a little portion before you add all your seasonings and spices on. It takes an extra 5 seconds and just saves a whole mealtime battle. And you're not making two completely separate meals. You're just being strategic about when you season. Pull their portion out first, season your second. It's a whole trick, but it's super simple and it works. All right, so let's pull it all together because I want you to walk away with an actual game plan, not just a list of foods. So here's how I sequence this so it all gets done in 1 to 2 hours. So first thing takes about 10 minutes. Get everything out and prepped. Cube your sweet potatoes, slice your peppers and onions, season your chicken, start the rice. Everything is being prepped at the same time, under 15 minutes. Then the sweet potatoes are going to go in the oven at 400 degrees. The chicken's going to either go in the grill or in the air fryer, and then the hot dogs in a pot of water on a back burner. So we're about 20 to 30 minutes in now. While the chicken's cooking and the sweet potatoes are roasting, start browning the ground beef. Make your overnight oats jars on the side. That literally takes 10 minutes, and you can do it while everything else is going. Okay, so now we're at minute 30 to 45. Broccoli goes in the oven. Flip or check the chicken. Stir the ground beef and start the fajita veggies in a separate pan. Now we're at 45 to 60 minutes in, and everything starts kind of finishing up. So pull the chicken, let it rest. Take out the sheet pan veggies, let them cool. Let the ground beef finish, okay? Then final 15 to 20 minutes. Cool and container everything. This is the step people forget. Don't rush it, right? Let things cool slightly before you put the lid on and fridge it. Portion out the lunch containers. Store the dinner components separately. And then hot dogs go in their container too. Overnight oats should now kind of in between everything have, their lid on and in the fridge as well, ready to mix and chill. And that's it, really. You're done. The week is handled. This should be 90 minutes. I want to be real with you though for a second before I wrap this up, because the first time you do this, it might take you closer to 2 hours, and that's completely fine. That's still pretty reasonable for meal prep. You're learning the flow, figuring out your timing, figuring out what your family likes. But by week 2 or week 3, you'll be knocking this out in 90 minutes or less without even thinking about it. You'll just be multitasking. And it becomes like muscle memory. And the payoff, getting through an entire week without the daily what's for dinner stress, is so worth it. So, quick recap of everything we covered. Overnight oat yogurt bowls in jars for breakfast, prepped in 10 to 15 minutes and ready all week. The simplest breakfast you can do. Grilled chicken, roasted sweet potatoes, and broccoli, something like that. Think protein, potato, or rice-based veggie, right? Portioned out, ready to grab. Then we've got some other options for dinner, right? We're making ground beef, ground turkey, grilled chicken. Sometimes I throw in salmon that can be made really quick, on the night. But then you've got to have your rice, your fajita veggies, your other components as well. All easy to do on Sunday for dinners. Mix and match all week long. And then for the kids, the key here is just make a batch of hot dogs ready to go, prepped ahead of time, plain chicken, right? Maybe some plain cubed roasted sweet potatoes on the side, fast, familiar options that we know will prevent mealtime battles. Okay, guys. So if this was helpful, drop a comment below. Tell me, what's the meal that your family eats the most often? Do you have a quick tip to share? Is there anything I shared that you're going to try? Nothing here was rocket science. But what I do know from working with busy parents and moms is that this sort of plan is very rarely executed. But when it is, it works. And then you see the results in the gym, in your body composition goals, in your performance goals start to happen. So this is the exact kind of thing that we do together when we're working together. This isn't just a meal prep video. Like, this is an actual snapshot of the real practical coaching that my clients get every single week when we do our check-ins. That's why I wanted to do today's session. Like, again, it's not rocket science, but it's not necessarily easy to implement. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. And I know everybody isn't. So whether your goal is to lose weight, get stronger, or you've got a race coming up and you want to learn how to actually fuel your body for it, we sit down together and build a meal prep strategy and a menu that's specifically designed around your goals. Not a generic plan you found on the internet, not a one-size-fits-all template, something that actually fits your life, your schedule, your family, and what you're working towards. We come up with a macronutrient profile for your body to make sure that we fuel you properly. And everything I just told you about, that meal plan can be used for anybody. And then what we do is just change the portions out, right? Based on your goals. You might need some extra carbs if you're training for a race, if you have a big competition coming up. You might need less carbs if you're in a cut, trying to get ready for a big vacation or beach body competition or, whatever it is. But here's the truth. Knowing what to eat is one thing, right? But having someone in your corner helping you figure out how much, how to make it work, how to make it happen week after week, keeping you accountable when spring break or that family vacation hits and life goes entirely sideways, and they help you get back on track without the guilt or overwhelm, when that does hit. That's what the key is. That's what I love doing. And that's what, I notice I struggle with. That's why I have a nutrition coach. We can all benefit from someone checking in on us and holding us accountable, and that's where the real transformation happens. And that's the work that we do together. So if you're sitting there right now, feeling like you're ready to stop guessing and start having a real plan, I want to work with you. I love doing this. I'm really good at it. If you want a coach that's really passionate about helping you hit your personal goals, I want to work with you. Reach out. So the link to apply for coaching is going to be right below this video in the comments. It's also www.ox.fit/apply. Go check it out. Listen to the video on the website, fill out the application, and let's get on a call and talk about your goals. I would love to have you in our community working with a coach that gets it. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I hope you got something out of the session, for showing up, even when it's hard. Like, kudos to you guys for doing that. And I'm here to help. So give me a shout. Email Lauren@ox.fit. Book a call with me. All right, that's it. Go prep your meals, guys. You've got this. I'll see you next week.